Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from Northwest Community Television. Next half hour, an update of what's new in Maple Grove and a recap of the last meeting. That's all next on the Maple Grove City Report. Thank you again for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report. And as you see, not Al Madsen today, Ken Asheville joining us. Ken, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Dave, for
He
inviting
brings
me.
us a lot of information about the city and the council meeting, but also a lot of information from the departments he works with in town, and we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. But first, we want to give you an overview of some of the things happening in town, and first relates to snow, one of the areas you're involved with.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about snow plowing in Maple Grove, the recent snow as we record this during that big snowstorm here in March. How did things go? How has the whole winter gone for snow plowing?
Actually, the winter's gone pretty well. We've had a number of snow events that I like to think that we performed quite well throughout the season. This last snow event was particularly well because although a fair amount of snow, the weather temperatures are such that the salts that we use to clear the snow and the ice, particularly at intersections, salt works really well at temperatures above 20 degrees.
Okay.
Once it gets colder than that, your traditional salt doesn't work so well.
Right.
So then we have to resort to other applications, and then we also do pre-treatment before a storm comes in.
Okay.
So that helps as well.
All right, so successful season as far as snow plowing in the city of Maple Grove.
Yes.
Also a successful year starting out with home starts. Tell me what number we're at now.
We're already up to 36 new home starts, and of course we're just through the first 2 months of the year. So that would play out to be at least as good or better than our previous years. And of course the housing market is starting to rebound quite well.
Right.
And we would expect that to occur throughout the next 10 months of the season.
All right.
And I would expect somewhere between 200 and 300 new home starts in
Good
the
enough. We'll
city.
keep people up to date on that. Another thing weather related, skating rinks. Not a great
Yes.
year for skating rinks. Tell us
Well,
what's happening here.
the skating rinks are closing for the season.
Okay.
That's the news.
And is this about the right timing, the usual timing, beginning of March?
This is about the right time.
Okay.
Actually, as the temperatures rebound, the ice decays from the bottom on up. Even if the temperatures were cold at night or whatever,
Sure.
the ice just starts deteriorating from both directions. So for this particular season, the skating rinks are closed and will open again 2 years from now, maybe.
We'll see. Whenever that cold stuff comes back again. So one sign of spring there, another sign of spring as we're talking farmers market, the outdoor variety.
Yes, absolutely. That is a sign of spring, and it's always nice to be talking about the farmers market. However, that opens in June.
Okay.
And hopefully we will see spring before that.
Right.
But the first day will be June 13th from the typical hours of 3 to 7 o'clock in the evening, and that's a Thursday. And I would expect that we'd have the large complement of vendors that we've enjoyed in the past seasons.
Good. The information on the city's website at all times about that. So if you're interested, you can find out more. And again, that is in the community center parking lot again, is where that will take place.
Correct.
Other development news around town, people have been talking about Whole Foods. And again, that's in the old Ultimate Electronics location. Give us a progress report on what they're doing now and when they might be open.
Well, those viewers that have traveled through that area may have noticed that part of the parking lot has been fenced off for construction materials and equipment, as Whole Foods is doing quite a changeover in the facade of the building. The building will look somewhat different.
Okay.
And of course, there's 2 large spaces there. The space that was occupied by World Market, and that is still vacant, but the blend of the facades will change.
Okay.
So And they are expecting to open sometime around the summer of this year. And of course, then there's another grocery store that's being constructed over by Maple Grove Parkway.
Aldi's?
Aldi. And there is not a opening date set for that, but
Okay.
they're working on the building
All
anyway.
right, a few more places to pick up some food in town and make at your home. Let's talk a little bit about Earth Hour, something that maybe people aren't too familiar with, but the city of Maple Grove is wanting to put out a little information about it.
Yes, it's the World Wildlife Foundation, and they're pressing this campaign for Earth Hour, which what they're promoting is that all non-essential lights be turned off between the hours of 8:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. on March 23rd.
Okay.
Now, for the most part, our lights throughout the city are essential along the streets, parking lots, that type
Right.
of thing. But for homeowners that
Sure.
may have a porch light on or whatever that is not essential, they're promoting that those lights be turned off.
Okay, very good. We'll make sure we turn off a few studio lights at that time as well. Usually no productions that late in the
Very good.
evening. Knitters Group in the city of Maple Grove, they have been busy for years and they reached a milestone.
A milestone it is at 10,000 baby hats, and they knit little hats for newborns at the Maple Grove Hospital. And to hit 10,000 already after how many short years that the hospital has been open,
Yeah.
it's quite an accomplishment.
That is fantastic. And again, if people are interested in that group, I think it meets at the community center. So if you want to find out more, you could go to the website and see how you could get your knitting skills to work. Ken, any chance Knitters Club for you?
I'm afraid I never learned to knit.
Me neither. I think I'm out on that one, unfortunately. So that's one milestone. Another milestone in town happened with the Lions Club. 50 years. Tell us about that.
Well, the Maple Grove Lions Club has celebrated their 50th year of anniversary, or 50 years of existence, and they have been very active throughout the community over that whole period of time.
Right.
And they have certain objectives. They formed as a social club as well as to promote financing and funding events throughout the city, and they've donated many projects throughout the city. Some of the more notable ones would be the Lion Shelter,
Right.
Right behind the community center, other civic causes, and they've been a great organization throughout the city, and we congratulate them on their 50-year anniversary.
Yes, great job. We'll be watching for 50 and many, many more
Yes.
past that. All right, Ken is in, and that means we must talk transportation for a few minutes before we get to the last council agenda. First road to talk about, 169 and County 30. What is
Yes.
happening there?
Now, actually, that particular project is not in the city of Maple Grove, but immediately adjacent, and will affect our residents and motorists. Currently, it's an at-grade signalized intersection. That area will be reconstructed to be an actual interchange.
Okay.
And it'll be not a full movement interchange, but a half movement interchange serving the city of Osseo. The project will begin this year, and actually a local contractor, C.S. McCrossan, was the low bidder on that particular
Okay.
project. And there will be an open house held March 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Brooklyn Park City Hall to demonstrate and display what the project elements will consist of.
Okay.
And I imagine that project will go into 2013.
Okay.
And it'll be a very nice project. As 169, it is a freeway type roadway until you start hitting this interchange or this intersection, which
Right.
will be an interchange. And then as you traverse north, eventually you get into these at-grade intersections
Right.
the rest of the way.
Okay.
But you kind of pick them off, one at a time.
Right, and the key is to get all of the traffic without lights up to 610 is, I guess, the big key there. And
Yes.
so there'll be some detours, I take it, with that project, and so there might be some routes going through Maple Grove is how it might affect some of the Maple
Yes.
Grove residents.
Traffic may split off both east and west in Brooklyn Park as well as Maple Grove. And so we will we're ready to accommodate that.
Okay. You've got bridges down as another note there. Tell me what we should be thinking about as far as bridges.
Well, actually, this is just to report that we replaced a couple bridges. One is on 105th Avenue, and one is on Dunkirk Lane up by Holly Lane.
Okay.
And essentially, these, I use the term bridges loosely in this particular case, but they are formally defined as a bridge under definition at the Minnesota Department of Transportation. So they qualified for bridge replacement funds,
Okay.
is what it really amounts to. And what they are is just large box culverts.
Okay.
And we had the weight limitations on those roads leading up till now because of the deterioration of the existing bridges that were in place. And they were really bridges, but they were old bridges where there's just a concrete structure and timber put over the top.
Okay.
And some old
Not how they do it
corrugated
today,
sheet.
is that what
No.
you're trying to say?
When you can stand on the road above it and look down through the bridge, that's never a good
Not
thing.
a good feeling,
Not a good-
okay.
Not a good feeling. So that project is about complete.
Okay.
And we'll finish those, the roadway projects up this summer, those that live up in that area.
Okay. A lot of people travel 694, and you've got a little 694 news for us as well.
Yes, actually there's two projects that are going on that's going to affect our residents that travel, both 694 and 169.
Okay.
And they're both pavement preservation or pavement replacement projects.
Right.
On 694, the limits are from 35W over on the east side. Coming this way over is Humboldt Avenue, which is right around Highway 100.
Okay.
There will be lane restrictions, weekends down to one lane, and ramp closures.
Okay.
And that'll go on throughout the summer. So if you don't need to go in that direction or wish to find a different route, I would advise that. 610, probably not a bad
Sure.
alternative.
Exactly.
169, kind of the same thing. It's a repaving or overlaying, I should say, of 169 from Highway 55 in Plymouth up to Elm Creek Boulevard in Maple Grove.
So that's a good stretch there.
It's a good stretch, and they'll be fixing up the pavement in that particular area and fixing up some signs. And exactly when that project gets started hasn't been fully defined yet. We know 694 is supposed to happen in 2013. If they get 169 going, part of that project will go into 2014.
But the chance that both are happening at the same time is somewhat likely, or it will
There's going to
happen?
be some crossover.
Some crossover,
yeah.
okay. What's the best site to find out dates and times on that? Is it the state site that's the best to go to?
That would be the best.
Okay.
Under the BINDOT website. And you can not only find out good information about individual projects, but you can subscribe for an email.
Okay.
And they will send out weekly, and even sometimes more than weekly, emails as to the status of the project, when you can expect lane closures, when you can expect ramp closures.
Okay.
So
Good.
those that travel that route, I would suggest that that would be a good course to take.
Yeah, very important for this summer and the coming year possibly. We couldn't get through a section of Talking Transportation with Ken without saying 610. How about
Well-
610? What's new in that part of the world?
Well, we're still working on preparing for the next bricks and mortar project.
Okay.
You know, the last project took 610 from the east to the west as far as Elm Creek Boulevard. Over the last roughly about 20 years now, we've been working east to west on that particular roadway.
Right.
If there was unlimited monies, we would have had that project done 10 years ago, but nonetheless, we need to sequentially work in those improvements. And right now, we're finishing up the environmental impact analysis and the layouts of what we hope and expect the final roadway to look like.
Okay.
And the project, actually the bricks and mortar part of the project is not programmed till later on in this decade. There's hopes with highway funding to move that up and advance that part of the project. there's a few things we can do in advance, and we're reviewing those options right now.
Okay, so the key is to have everything as ready as possible, so if the funding does become available, you get set to go.
Exactly. We would
Okay.
be set to go.
Very good.
And that's pretty much it.
All
There's
right.
some work going on in the Medicine Lake Regional Trail, which is the Three Rivers Park Trail that runs from Elm Creek Park Reserve down through the Fish Lake Park, Regional Park.
Okay,
Fixing up and repairing some parts of that trail. So some of that work may be going on in the back of people's yards, so they
Okay.
can expect that.
sure. All right, very good. Well, thanks for that update on transportation and other things happening in town. Now let's go to the council meeting from March 4th. Not a large agenda, but some important items. Give us a
Yes.
little idea of what was covered at the meeting.
Council gave final approval for the Great Southern Bank, which is going to be located at the intersection of Zachary Lane and Elm Creek Boulevard, tucked in behind Costco.
Okay,
So that has been previously planned as part of the original development plan for the fountains. They made an appointment on the city's Lake Quality Commission, which is an advisory committee to the council on lake and water quality issues. Wanted to recognize that Joe Randall is going to be serving on that in that position. Then they also approved a survey to be taken of our residents. Last time we did a citywide survey to just determine what people like, dislike, general thoughts, was about 5 years ago in 2008. And there'll be 1,200 mailings, arbitrary mailings. And hope that we get a good return again, because that's what tells us what people are really thinking.
right.
Like any survey, you never get a full return, but the more the better.
How about from your departments? Are there specific things you're asking that help you out in roads, transportation, public works within the city?
The questions we asked in 2008, and we're going to be doing that again in 2013, so we can kind of correlate, has there been a change or whatever, but there are transportation-related questions. Transportation is one of those things that how well it works changes based on travel need, congestion, those types of things. Other items that we work on, such as utilities and stuff, we'd like to think it's working all the time.
Right, okay. Okay, very good. Well, if people want to find out more about that, again, it will be mailed out to about 1,200 residents. If someone doesn't get one and is really interested in responding, can they fill one out, or should they just contact City Hall and say what they want to say?
I would say they just contact their administrative department.
Okay, very
Yes.
good, because it's something that has to be done somewhat scientifically
Yes.
and can only be sent to a certain number, so.
The questions need to be structured such so that it is, as you say, scientific. Otherwise, the results are skewed.
Okay, very good. We'll try to get some of the results for you throughout the year here on the program.
And then the council moved into public hearings, and they conducted one on a typical housing development. In this particular case, it's medium density housing in the High Grove area, which is south of south of Weaver Lake Road, west of Hemlock Lane. It's actually the final and the third and final phase of that High Grove development. It involves 202 townhomes,
Okay.
basically. And those are going to be built out by Mattamy Homes. And then they went into our annual street reconstruction public hearing. This year we have 3 areas of construction. 2 of them follow the name of the developments, one being Shadow Creek, which is along Weaver Lake Road, and the other one being Cobblestone Hills, which is west of Weaver Lake. And of course, we send out notices so all those folks that are impacted by this project
Right.
know all about what's going on. And then we will be also reconstructing, or at least reconstructing the surface of 89th Avenue from Dunkirk out to 101st Avenue.
Okay.
Council held that hearing. There was a number of folks in the audience. They listened to the presentation. Three folks testified relating somewhat to water quality and assistance with handicap. We always have handicap concerns
Okay.
within our neighborhoods.
Sure.
And council ordered all 3 projects as they have done in the past.
For a little background information for people, these aren't projects that just happen to pop up each year and you decide to spot each year. This is part of a big plan. Tell people about that plan and how the city really tries to do this to stay on top of the streets.
Right, Dave. The city has about 280 miles of streets that we maintain. Of that 280 miles, there's about 255 miles that there is really no other source of funding to assist with. Basically, with our major roadways, collectors and minor arterials, we get some assistance from the gas tax that people pay at the pump.
Okay.
For local residential streets, there is no outside funding. So it's about, actually it was about 1994, 1995 when the council wisely looked at, well, what are we going to do when these streets wear out? So they developed some policies, the largest policy relating to how do we fund this.
Right.
Some funds were set aside for some assistance from the city to our neighborhoods, and then the residents within a neighborhood pay some part of that. Now we select these areas based on age of the streets, because a street will wear out even if you never put a car on it.
Right.
Just from the environmental impacts on the roads. But then also traffic and then soil conditions is a big factor.
Okay.
So we set up a 5-year program, a rolling 5-year program sort of, and residents are then given some advance notice that this is coming. And we found that they like having that information.
Sure.
Because if the
Understand.
streets are 20 to 30 years old, so are their driveways and things that they may need to do or wish to
Okay.
do in conjunction with our project. And then, of course, plan for it financially as well.
Exactly. How about from a transportation standpoint then, getting around? How detailed are these projects? Is this going to be, you're going to be driving through dirt for a week, 2 weeks to get to your driveway? What type of level of this is this, and what do you recommend to residents as far as just being aware and being ready for the type of construction that goes on?
Well, for those that live within these project areas, we send out information on an ongoing basis. In fact, they're probably tired of hearing from us by the time
Right.
we're done. But you're right. You do end up driving through a construction zone for a number of weeks. We try to minimize that by breaking project areas out into phases. So the intent is to, if you live in a neighborhood, it's not torn up all summer long.
Right.
Try to do it in phases and have one area done before we go to the next.
How about your friend, the weather? How big of a factor does weather play in projects like this?
Well, in this particular case, the whole purpose of the project is to preserve the investment we have in the underlying gravels, the structural part of the road.
Okay.
So we're really just removing the pavement and repairing the edge, the curb and gutter and
Okay.
storm drainage systems. So essentially, the weather doesn't hurt us too bad other than while it is just raining.
Right.
Most projects in Maple Grove, particularly working in the clays that we have, it rains and then we're struggling for several days after until it dries up. In this particular case, we don't have that problem.
Okay, very good. All right, and again, if people have questions, they can certainly contact the city or contact Ken and his staff. But again,
Yes.
a lot of information has gone out on a regular basis, so people that are
Absolutely.
affected by this should be well aware.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other items at the meeting?
The council approved 2 development projects. One is named Botno Ridge Apartments. Essentially, this is a 2-phase project. It's apartment buildings, the first one being a 50-unit building on the first phase, and it's located just north of Arbor Lakes Parkway and Hemlock Lane.
Okay.
Some access will be off Hemlock Lane, some access will be off of 80th Avenue, which is right by that the senior
Right.
Senior living
Okay.
spot. And then they also approved a project that proposed by FedEx. It's basically called a Smart Post, smaller packaging and transfer and processing unit. or processing center. Large building, and it's on a parcel of land that's gone through a lot of variations of waiting for it to develop. I mean, it was part of the gravel mining area, and then it was reclaimed. And then there has been previous submittals on the project on that parcel, but then have gone away for various reasons.
Okay.
And it appears that this is finally going to happen. It's a large building, as I said, a 276,000 square foot building with 300 employees, and a nice project.
How about from a transportation impact for the city? Is this something that, will there have to be additional lights on that roadway to handle the traffic, handle what might be coming from that new business?
We're not anticipating
Okay.
any additional traffic control, and this would be at Revere and Weaver Lake Road. It is basically the same type of operation that we have at UPS Center. And they access on Zachary Lane, and there's no lights there, so hopefully it'll work out fine.
Okay, very good.
And that was about it.
Very good. All right, we thank you for your time again.
welcome.
We hope to see you again, get that transportation update of what's happening in town. Good luck with spring. Hope the weather stays nice for you here.
I hope it stays well, too.
All right, let's leave you with the next council meeting date. If you're interested, it is Monday, March 18th, 7:30 at the Government Center. City's number at the bottom of the screen and up at the top, the city's website. And again, a lot of information that Ken gave today. You can find more about that on the city's website. And if you have questions or comments for the program, 533-1710 is our viewer response line. For Ken Ashfield, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.